Welcome to another edition of Value My Vote, one-on-one with the candidates, and we're joined by none other than 9th District Council candidate, Mr. Michael Eugene Johnson. How you doing, sir?
Fine, thanks for having me.
Not a problem. Thanks for actually coming on and sharing your ideas, your vision for Baltimore in the 9th District, and all the work that you've done.
Thank you.
Let the viewers know we were here now at a great school called Northwestern High School. You're an alumnus of that program, of the school, excuse me. I know you're a big factor in what's called the Paul Robeson Institute. But Mike, you've been a factor in this city for a long time.
To be so young.
Yeah. Why is 2011 the year? And what are you going to bring to the 9th District that none of the other candidates will?
A sense of humanity. I think that when you listen to a lot of the candidates, they're talking about programs, they're talking about housing, but no one's talking about people. We have a large poverty problem in Baltimore City and exclusively in the 9th District. We have a large vacancy problem exclusively in the 9th District. We have a large crime problem exclusively in the 9th District. But we're not talking about the human effect of a lot of things that are going on in Baltimore. Baltimore is like a shining city if you look at the harbor. But the closer you are to the harbor, maybe the better off you are. But the further you go, the further west you go, or even the further south you go, it changes. I think that what I bring to it is I bring a sense of humanity. Talking about the lady that can't pay her rent and may have to make a choice between her rent and her medicine. The child who is going to a bad school and doesn't have the choice between a good school or a bad school because of the location or the zip code that they live in. The health issues where we have no supermarkets. And even in the 9th District, we have absolutely no library in our district. We're the only district in the entire city of Baltimore that does not have a library within its borders of the 9th District. So I think that I bring what I've always brought is a sense of humanity. How do we transcend the glitzy, the high-end attitudes that's going on at the inner harbor and around the harbor? How do we transcend that into where the poverty is, where people are sleeping under bridges and people are hungry? How do we feed the hungry? How do we clothe the naked?
You know, you just astounded me with that. And I don't think the voters probably didn't even know this. 27 years of Agnes Welch being in the district. Nice lady as councilwoman. Her son, Pete, took over past 100 days or so after her retirement. Now the voters have the chance to put in who they want.
Absolutely.
You mean to tell me after 27 years they didn't realize that there was no library in this district to put a library here for the children or for the people?
Well, you know, the district changed itself almost 12 years ago and became a single district. And at the point it became a single district, the libraries was never a factor. And you should guess and question leadership. They don't think people need to read or have the opportunity to read. And so you bring out of a library, you take a library out of the districts. And then we have no supermarkets. And the mere fact that the only supermarket is sold on the edge of the district, that people don't have a chance to have even quality or healthy food. So I think that we can all say how nice someone was, but then we have to really look at what has someone done. And the things that someone's done in that 9th District is really an embarrassment. That if it was a corporation, they would have fired someone years ago. When I challenged her 4 years ago, I knew she had a large political base. I knew that she had large developers and liquor store owners who would assist her. But we gave a good challenge, and with progressive leadership and progressive volunteers that we had, we came quite close and shook up the establishment. And we knew that we weren't running too much to win 4 years ago. We were preparing ourselves for this time. And this is an opportunity for the 9th District folks. This is an opportunity to go, you know, your sanity is when you do the same thing over and over again, and then you expect different results. I don't think that people are going to be that insane in the 9th District this time.
Speaking of bringing things to the district, the 9th District, as you mentioned before, is the largest amount of abandoned houses. We got about 47,000 plus abandoned houses in the city of Baltimore. The Dixon administration had what's called the Land Bank Authority in works. Now it's the vacant to values under the Rawlins Blake administration. What would the Johnson administration in the 9th District do about these vacant housing?
Well, you know, every administration has a different name to it. Kirk Smoke administration was tearing down the public housing and was building single family homes, which is great what they did. I just think that we need to look at something as simple as this. We spend between $12,000 to $13,000 per student in our vocational schools, your Mervos, your Carver, your Westside Skills Center, to teach people how to do masonry, to teach people how to do carpentry, to teach people how to do HVAC, heating and air conditioning. So why don't we just take, and they teach them in the classroom. Why don't we take that classroom, put what we call a double wide, which is one of these big buildings, the big temporary buildings, and why don't we take block per block and make the block a classroom? But while the students are learning the work and fixing up the vacant housing, we also take the parents or the people who are associated with these young people and say, we're also going to train everybody how to be homeowners. We're going to take vacant houses, then put them on tax rolls, but the people have a lot more respect for things that they have that they're involved in. So it's not as much as an administration point of view, it's who's going to speak up for the poor, who's going to speak up for the homeless, and who's going to speak up for these 7,000 vacant houses that we have in the city of Baltimore. I mean, in the 9th District alone. 7,000 out of the 14, 15,000 people got different numbers belong in the 9th District. And my perspective is very simple, is we build it. If they build it, they will come. We're into this whole new migration thing. Black folk has run out of the city, and poor folk have moved out of the city with opportunities. That move to opportunity had a lot more negative things to do with Baltimore City, because you in turn made more vacant housing. What we're trying to do is get people to move back in. One thing that's very great about the 9th District is there's some beautiful, beautiful homes in the 9th District, marble steps that are all boarded up. What if we were to tell people now that here's a great opportunity for you to come back to the city or to move into the city? But we've got to be able to offer them basic services. We've got to be able to offer them quality schools. We've got to be able to offer them great security. All of these things are necessary for the 9th District residents to feel a lot more proud, because we're at a very critical time right now. Very critical time. And if we can do that, I think that we can accomplish a lot of things. It would be similar to the Harlem Project in New York, where it's block by block by block. And that's my perspective. We're not going to be able to do 47,000 and make all 47,000 of the residents in the 9th District happy right away. But if we can do block by block, you can transform the attitude and transform the people. And when you transform people, you transform into success in any district.
Speaking of, I mean, really, some people say it is the master plan to get the poor people out of the city on purpose. That way it'll be too expensive for them to actually come back. But one of, what you touched on, one of the reasons that people have moved is because of the educational system here in the city of Baltimore. Now, Maryland is supposed to be #1 in the country. But as we know, Baltimore City and Prince George's are always 23 and 24, the bottom of the totem pole. Baltimore City, ironically, only puts 15% of its total budget into education, where 40 to 45% usually goes to public safety and crime. What would you do as a councilman to try to change that and kind of balance the playing field?
Well, let's also look at the budget when we talk about a budget. Baltimore County spends its overall budget of $3.6 billion to run Baltimore County. We spend $3.3 billion in Baltimore City public schools. There's something wrong with those numbers. What we're looking at is, why can't we insist about excellence in our schools? Our schools need to be harder, challenging. We need to make sure that we have the connection in the schools where there are issues of homelessness and hunger and drug abuse and joblessness need to be incorporated into the schools. We need to be making community schools. We need to quit experimenting with our children. I would be an advocate, and has always been an advocate of education. This is nothing new for me about education. But I also understand what is the overall relationship of the community school with the community. And if we don't connect them together, if we don't say that the community school needs to be open after hours for recreation, open after hours for adult lit and adult education, open after hours for social gatherings, so we can bring people in, no matter how good a principal is, no matter how strong a teacher is. If the community is not buying into what is the reason that this brick building is in my community, you will never improve the education system in Baltimore.
Well, yeah, there's obviously a lot to be covered, a lot of interest and a lot of issues that are going to be dealt with in this election. How can the voters and the viewers of this get more information about Michael Eugene Johnson? Well,
they can go to, they can get to us on the Johnson City Council 9th District.com. or hit us at Johnson City Council 9th District at yahoo.com, which is our email, or call us at 410-800-0175 and be able to, engage us or invite us to their community meetings, invite us to the places where they are. And I assure you, we're on the streets every day beginning at 4 o'clock in the morning. We're literally engaging people at bus stops that are going to work in the morning. And we would make it our business to make sure that we get to where you are, but we're not going around here in some sort of listening tour. We recognize where the problems are. We recognize that the fact that we're the highest rate of cancer, the highest rate of obesity, the highest rate of all of the health issues and health ills of the city of Baltimore. And as the 9th District goes, so does the city of Baltimore.
Give that number one more time.
410-800-0175.
Okay. Michael Eugene Johnson, candidate for the 9th District. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you, and I
for your
appreciate
time.
it.
And appreciate your
Yes, sir.
candidacy and your time here with us.
Thank you, sir.
And we'll be back with more Value My Vote.